As Simeon is proclaiming all of this, Anna, the 100-year-old prophetess, tells anyone and everyone in the temple that this baby is the promised Messiah. Anna's role in the Christmas story can easily be overlooked, but some scholars are doing some really good reflecting on her important role. Jay sat down with Carl Toney, the author of the book Ruining Christmas, Rediscovering Jesus, to talk about why Anna and a few other characters should be added to our nativity scenes.
You bring up Simeon and Anna, who I haven't ever seen a nativity scene that has them there.
Yeah, I know.
Have you?
No. I mean, this
Maybe
Christmas we got out our nativity, and we got like 12 camels, I think, around this thing, but we don't have one Simeon and Anna at this point. We got lots of sheep.
Yeah. So why would you include them?
Well, because Luke includes them, and he extends the story. And I think so often, what we do is we focus on Christmas, and in a lot of Protestant Christian traditions and evangelical traditions, we focus leading up to Christmas. So even on my Advent calendar, we're the 24 days that lead up to Christmas itself and the big celebration, and we do open our presents, and then that's it. We might even spiritualize it. Well, we give presents to each other because of the gift of God that He gives of Jesus, which is great. There's lots of things that we can look at and explore there. But the story of Christmas doesn't end on Christmas Day. And in other traditions, you have things like the 12 days of Christmas that go on, an Epiphany, that there's other celebrations that extend Christmas beyond that. And Luke extends the story beyond it to the story of baby Jesus being presented at the temple. And you get these two elderly figures who are there waiting in hope and expectation for God's promises. And they go to the temple every day thinking, well, maybe today is going to be the day that the Messiah is going to show up. And they just keep going with kind of this leading. And I can't even imagine waiting my whole life for something like that. Like for me, if I have to, with Amazon Prime, if I don't get my stuff in 2 days, if I click on it, sometimes you get it, it's like, oh shoot, it's actually a week out? Wait, that thing was out of stock? Like I'm so anxious to get stuff now that the idea of having to wait for things to occur even for a week is hard for me. But the story of Simeon and Anna reminds us, these are people that waited their entire lives for God's promise, and they didn't know when it was going to happen. And I think, particularly in this last year and a half, we've been in so much time of suspension, maybe tomorrow's going to be, maybe next week, next month, we're going to get back to normal. We're all kind of in these moments of suspension and waiting for a hope and a promise that things will be better. And Simeon and Anna, they're in the temple their whole life waiting for things to be better. And the first instance of things becoming better is with the coming of the Messiah, who's going to mark this new era of making the world better. And for them to have had to wait their whole life for that. And I just can't imagine the joy and celebration that these two elderly people have when they see Jesus in that moment. And they burst out into song celebrating Jesus. Is just wonderful. And I love also that they're elderly, and it's a place for the elderly in the church. So often in churches we get focused on the young. I think that's part of American culture and society, and we're always looking for the up and coming, but it's a reminder to us of the value of the elderly in our communities, and that they have a not just a place for us, but a place of pride for us, that they have an entire life story to share with us and to be a blessing to us, and we can be a blessing to them, and we see that in their story. But we also get that it's not just an elderly man, but it's an elderly woman. That this is in Luke's gospel, as you say, he includes everybody, and Luke wants to make sure that we know that God is not just a God of men, but that God is a God of all humanity, of men and women. And so whenever he can bring a man and a woman in relationship to each other, and to bring them in contact with Jesus, he does, that we recognize that the gospel truly is for everybody.
Don't you love that? Man, I love how Simeon and Anna, two elderly people, are prominently included in the Christmas story. Luke didn't have to include them, but he did, because as Carl said, right, the gospel truly is for everybody. And everybody really means everybody.